Hi everyone, my name's Janelle. I'm a functional nutritionist who lives and plays in the Sierra Mountains. And this is my podcast where we talk about functional health with a mountain twist in 30 minutes or less. Today I'm talking with my friend Mary McCullum, a clinical herbalist, about herbs to support digestion. I hope you enjoy our talk as much as I did. All right, well, welcome everyone. I am here with my friend Mary McCullum. Before we start, I love your deep connection to the earth, Mary. I mean, you can feel it when you talk to you. We were just chatting about her wild acres out in the mountains. You can feel it on your website, you can feel it on your Instagram, but you invite people in to a pace that is so sorely lacking in our modern world, and it just feels good. I love it. So thank you for that gift that you bring to people.
Oh, thank you. It's beautiful to receive that. And yeah, I feel really honored that that's your experience and of seeing what I'm doing and talking to me. And it's really like the heart of my love and passion for herbalism is connecting people to back to nature and to the plants and their ways of profound healing.
How did you come into this work? How did you know that herbs were your jam? Like, when did that all happen, or how?
Yeah, we'll go back in time now.
Yes.
A few moons ago, many, many moons ago. Well, I could start first, like with my childhood, and saying that I grew up in Quincy, and which is just in the Sierra foothills, and was really fortunate enough to grow up on acreage there, where I kind of would wander through the forest as a kid and play with all the plants and pick wildflower bouquets for my mom. And my mom was fairly into plants and herbal medicine as well. So I grew up with her using a lot of natural remedies like homeopathics and elderberry syrup and things in the kitchen, when we would get sick. And that really had a profound impact on me as I grew into adulthood. And then when I was about 18 years old, I started to experience some pretty intense like menstrual cycle irregularities, and ended up having or being diagnosed with endometriosis, and just kind of spiraled from there. And I went the Western route originally and did multiple surgeries and tried different, you know, medications and prescriptions, and then ended up having kind of this another hurdle of digestive stuff as well. So it was really clear that my body and my immune system and that my gut and my hormones, everything was going through like just a lot of stress and overhaul. I really found myself just like kind of at the depth of my own healing and feeling like, okay, Western medicine, these are my options. Either I can keep having surgeries, I can keep taking drugs. There's not a lot of options for me other than getting a diagnosis, which was helpful at the time. Absolutely. And that was at a time where I was doing a lot of just service work, and I really wanted to go back to school. And I was actually set to go back to school to become a nurse, and was enrolled to like start my prereqs at TMCC for nursing school. And I was having a conversation with a friend in my backyard in Reno, and he's like, "Have you heard of the natural medicine school in Portland?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, didn't even think about that as like an option in going into, the medical healing field. So pretty much from that moment on, like I really switched gears, and I still did basically the prereqs for nursing school, but that got me into NUNM in Portland. And I did a pre-med degree in integrative health there, which was like a great kind of East meets West. Then I did, about 5.5 years of herbal education online in Nevada City with different teachers and mentors. And that led me then to starting my first business, which was Sierra Roots Wellness. And now I have evolved, which just changed. And now I've evolved into this new foundation, Mountain Song. But it feels so just like amazing to be able to really put my energy into something that I wholeheartedly believe in. Yeah. So I feel super blessed to be able to walk this path and to connect people to the plants and the medicines and the seasons and breathing in fresh air, all the things. So
Yes,
yeah.
thank you for all of your gifts that you bring us. Okay, so let's get into herbs and digestion. I don't know about you, but like a lot of the people I work with, they're pretty relatively healthy mountain folk, or at least they're doing a lot right. So,
Right.
they may have all their struggles, but most of them are eating, some whole foods, healthy, balance, really moving their body, getting outside. A lot of them are doing a lot right. But the ones I see, still aren't reaching their health goals, or there's still something going on. And I personally find that it is often digestion. It's like
Yeah.
digestion is like the farthest upstream of so many issues that can happen. And that could be, both acute issues, like I think most people think of, like gas, bloating,
Mhm.
diarrhea, constipation, like those kinds of acute digestive issues. But then people can also have issues that aren't so obvious digestively, like we have the gut brain connection, the gut hormone connection, the gut immune connection,
Right.
the gut pain and inflammation. So sometimes when we're not breaking down our foods properly, or we're not absorbing the nutrients, or there's just inflammation in our gut, it can drive problems all over our body. So again, like coming back to the digestion and how we can support it, to
Mhm.
me is, first and foremost, because you can be eating the best foods in the world and it might not matter if we're not breaking them down and absorbing them well. So what do you think about, so many people have cramps and spasms or bloating.
Yeah.
So as far as those symptoms go, what do you think?
Yeah. So when I think about like cramping, there's usually some type of bloating, right, that's happening in the digestion, right? Which means there's like stuck gas, and there could be some dampness and inflammation going on. But the first herbs I would jump to for that would be thinking about what are known as carminative herbs, warming herbs. Things like fennel, anise are fabulous for that. They have naturally some volatile oils, and this is, you can just consume them, in a tincture or a tea. And those, like when you look at the fennel seed, I wish I had one for show and tell, like, or the anise seeds, like you see those little lines on the seeds, those are where the seed actually traps those volatile oils. And those oils are amazing at dispersing and dispelling gas and cramps. So that's why like fennel is one of the most commonly used things for babies that have colic, because it's so fabulous, and great for adults too that have that kind of cramping, bloating, gas. Other things I think about are some of these fabulous mints. Peppermint, of course, is one that people very commonly see used for digestion. It has a diffusive and dispersive effect on the tissues, meaning that it helps like to move trapped heat out of the body. So when there's trapped heat in the belly, in the guts, that is one really amazing thing that peppermint or other mints can do. Peppermint would probably be my favorite because it has, when you smell peppermint, you really smell like it's so different than the other mints. And I think that the properties and the constituents peppermint can be a little bit better for gas and bloating. But catnip would be my other choice for the
I
mints.
love
And
catnip.
I know, me too. People are always like catnip, I'm like, it's not just for cats.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
one of my
doesn't it do like the opposite in humans that it does in cats? Like it's super
Yes,
calming.
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah, it's calming. So, like what you were saying, a lot of digestive issues have to do with the gut brain axis and
Yeah.
stress, right? So,
Yes.
catnip is really good at relaxing those muscles. At the same time, it has those great
Oh.
diffusive and dispersive qualities that many mint family herbs do to support gas and bloating and cramps. And
Wow, I'm so glad that you said that because I love it for relaxing and I recommend it, but I've never thought of it as for gas also. And I'm
yeah,
digging all these people that I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be perfect for them that are gassy and stressed. So I love that.
yeah,
Thank you. How do
hmm,
you think people should best take them? Like as a tea
yeah.
or what?
A tea, I would say like a tea is always a great place to start, especially if, for folks that are like, I'm not super comfortable with tinctures, I've never taken a tincture, or maybe their body doesn't tolerate alcohol well, like start with a tea and see how you do with the tea first. Then I would say next, it's like if you're on the go, if you are like can't make yourself the cup of tea, then that's when I would say, and you're comfortable with taking tinctures, like having a tincture of any of those separately or together, like is great to just have in your purse, have in your backpack, have, in your first aid kit in the car. But those would be my I would say like top ways to consume. My next would be for these herbs would be to consume it in a powdered form. So actually capsules would be like, so not in capsule, but like getting the herb powdered. If you have capsules, I would recommend actually opening those capsules and stirring it into water or tea, or a great hack that I do for some of these herbs is stirring them into like warm applesauce. So then you get the pectin and you get all the properties of the apples, and it's like being consumed in that kind of warm, easy to digest. And those powdered herbs really help to then coat the belly and the tummy. And those are a little bit more easier absorbed than having to take a capsule.
Yeah, I think you make a really good point there, because obviously if you're having digestive distress, the added burden of breaking down a capsule is an added burden. So
right.
Yeah, I love the teas and tinctures, and that's a great idea for opening up those capsules. So good tip.
Yeah.
I like that.
Absolutely. And one more, and then this could maybe tie into another category, is chamomile. I don't know if I said chamomile. Chamomile, I mean, when you ask me the question, like, what would my top, or what's my favorite digestive herb, chamomile would definitely be one of my top 3. Reason being is that chamomile, you probably know this too, is just profoundly anti-inflammatory, specifically on the digestive system. And it is really amazing for so many things. And like catnip, it has that relaxing quality as well. But I think most people do well with chamomile. Chamomile is also like, the flavor is very palatable, and then people are familiar with it. So it's like a nice one just for everybody. But I love chamomile, and it's like, you can't go wrong with chamomile. And similarly to the other herbs we spoke about, you can chamomile tea. And I think this maybe is a good time to talk about loose tea over like bagged tea. Of course, if you only have access to tea bags, then it's better than nothing, but those tea bags, like there's a very small amount of tea in there. So I always recommend using 2 or 3 tea bags if you're really wanting to get a more medicinal tea. Versus if you're using a loose leaf tea, then I recommend, anywhere from 1 to 3 tablespoons, steeped into about 2 cups of hot water. And that's the difference, where it's like people are like, oh, I've had chamomile before, but it just kind of relaxes me. I didn't really think about it for digestion. And I'm like, have you ever had, a strong chamomile tea or chamomile tincture? And you can really feel the difference. And, it goes from then just being a relaxing medicine to being like, wow, that had profound impact on my digestion. And I love that. I love chamomile so much. It's not just the sleepy time herb,
Yeah, I know.
Powerful.
I love that. I wouldn't have thought of that either. So would you suggest, I know like catnip, it doesn't make you tired, it just relaxes you. But what about chamomile? Would you recommend that mostly? Like, doesn't that, like if you took a medicinal amount in tea, I mean, wouldn't that kind of like really relax you? Like maybe like after dinner or before bed, or when you have time to relax?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I get these questions a lot with like relaxing or sedative herbs. But I would say both for catnip and chamomile, they are what's known as relaxant herbs, but they're not so strong to where they're going to be sedative,
Right.
like
okay.
but this is the contrary. If someone is like very burnt out, very depleted, and just like, then it's going to have that effect on them if they have a strong cup of chamomile tea, say in the afternoon. But for a lot of people, actually what they'll find is when they have a relaxing herb, and say that they're looking for both benefits, right? The relaxation and the digestive benefits, then that actually helps them to be more focused. Because a lot of the time, like we're so used to all the stimulating things, caffeine and, coffee and all that. where when we have, you know, those relaxing herbs, like it kind of helps to just bring us down a notch in our nervous system so that we can focus. So yes, with all that said, I would say if you're feeling, you know, more burnt out, more tired, or like you didn't get enough sleep, these herbs could make you feel more relaxed and sleepy. But if you're just having, you know, like a strong cup of chamomile tea or catnip tea, you know, in the morning and the afternoon, like you will be able to function well. Still, I drink calming herbs all day. And
Okay. I love that. I
yeah,
love that specificity of, you know, both catnip and chamomile are calming herbs, but they're not sedatives. So we don't need to talk about that this time, but like sedatives would more be like passion flower and poppy and kava and those kinds
exactly.
of herbs, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I get that difference.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank
Yeah,
you for
and
clarifying that.
absolutely.
I like it. I'm going to
Yes.
have a cup of chamomile with lunch tomorrow and see how that goes.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
excited for you. Yes.
Yeah. So you've said catnip, chamomile, fennel, anise or
hmm
anise.
hmm
Um, okay, I love it. So those are all good herbs for reducing, supporting, you know, no bloating, gas, cramping, and just being able to digest your food better.
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah,
I love it.
absolutely. And then that's when I brought up chamomile, that kind of made me think about you
Mm.
also asked, you know, for us to talk about some other just overall like anti-inflammatory herbs
Mhm.
and also ones that we would incorporate into food.
Mhm.
So when I think about, you know, those herbs, like chamomile is definitely one I would want to consume in tea or tincture form. Yarrow is another one
Mm.
that is fabulous, and I often like to pair those together. And they also are like, just, you know, it's like it's hard for me to choose exactly one category for each herb, but we can, there's a lot of crossover. But
Mhm.
yeah, I
That's why
use the
plants are
form,
awesome,
yeah,
right?
like it's
Yes.
not just one thing, you know, even
Yes.
though they have affinities. I say plants have affinities for tissue states, right? So there's going to be different plants that have more affinity for smooth muscle, or, you know,
Mm.
different things like that. So, or certain organ systems, you know, some plants have affinities for the hollow organs. You know, like raspberry leaf is great for like the uterus. It's also great for the stomach. So anyway, I won't trail off too far in energetics, but coming back to chamomile and yarrow, just to say that that is a really great pair. And that's often one I will use too if people are just like, I need something for general inflammation in my gut. I don't know what's going
Mm.
on.
Mm.
And maybe also that's a person, if they're a woman that is cycling, they're also having menstrual cramps. It can work great for digestive crampings and menstrual cramps as well. um, Chamomile and yarrow pair, and that
Mm.
could be a tea, that could be a
Mm.
tincture pair. And yarrow is fabulous, and if you live near Janelle and I, or even if you don't, there's probably yarrow growing near you, or you can grow yarrow in your garden as well as chamomile. So
And
those
how
are
many
great
times
garden
a
herbs.
day would you recommend people take on?
Yeah. Well, it really just kind of depends on, I would say, the severity of the symptoms, and yeah, and how you're really looking to curb the symptoms. You know, you can take herbs, like say if it was a tea, you know, and you're really trying to like maybe do it more as a daily maintenance, like working on overall inflammation, or that you're trying to kind of work through some more longer term cramping, bloating stuff. You know, I would be having at least 3 cups of the tea a day. Usually I try to get my clients to have 2 to 3 cups. I'm like, if you can
Mhm.
get two, that's a win. If you can get three, that's even better.
Mhm.
And yeah, and then for a tincture, that could be taken 2 times a day, you know, at whatever dosage that is suggested to you by an herbalist, or if you're buying a pre-made formula, you know, then that will usually have a suggested dosage on the bottle for your body weight as well. And I always talk about, it's like you can be taking a tincture formula, you know, daily, a few times a day if you're working towards a healing goal, but you can also take them as needed. So, you know,
Mhm.
say that you're, you know, driving home from a work meeting and you ate something weird at lunch and you're
Mhm.
getting that cramping and bloating, then that's a great opportunity to start taking that herbal formula. And in a tincture form, it's going to get in there really quickly, just and diluted in a little bit of water or tea. And you could take it, you know, I would say up to every 20 minutes until you really notice that it goes away. But typically after like a few doses, people really feel the
Mm.
difference.
I love that. Okay, so that scenario, you ate something at work, you're in the way home, you're cramping. What's in your purse? Like, what do you pull out? What herbs?
Yeah, this chamomile and yarrow formula
Yarrow.
would be
Okay,
great.
I love it.
Yeah, or if you're someone that tends towards like feeling colder overall and maybe tends towards constipation, then like a fennel tincture would be
Mhm.
fabulous for you because that's warming. And that's going to help to kind of get things moving and disperse that stuck gas. Or maybe it's the catnip, and you're feeling like, you are in a more stressed state of your life. So you need something that's going to help to like soothe your nervous system and also support the gas.
Okay, I love that. That's great. That's a
Yeah.
great tip. But what about something to ease and soothe, like a demulcent, like something,
Yes.
like what's your favorite in that and why would you use one?
Yes. Great. I love it. Yeah. Maybe I can touch just like briefly on demulcents and then we can try to swing back to just bitters. And then I also wanted to, I'll tie in vulnerary herbs to demulcents,
Okay,
but then I
great.
think we made a wide variety,
Yeah,
but,
great.
um, yeah. So for demulcents, for those of you that are not familiar with what it means moistening. So the most commonly used emulsient is marshmallow, and the root tends to be more moistening or slimy than the leaf, but you can also use the leaf. And I would say across the board, marshmallow root is a fantastic demulcent to use. Slippery elm is another one that is fabulous. And I don't use it as commonly anymore because it became very over harvested. But there is actually a lot of farms in the States now that are growing slippery elm and for cultivation. So that's also a great option. Those two would be my favorites. And yeah, just to circle back to like, why would we want to use these herbs? Like you talked about in the very beginning, constipation is one of the most common side effects of digestive inflammation and issues. So these herbs are going to be what you want to go towards for constipation. And you could pair them again, right? It's like, say that you're having bloating and constipation, you want to think about a warming herb that's going to move that gas like fennel. And you could pair that then with marshmallow root or slippery elm.
I love that.
These herbs are best consumed in powder form and actually just mix it into a little bit of warm water, mix it into tea, mix it into the warm applesauce, mix it with honey, have it by the spoonful. You can also make teas of both of these, but these herbs can't really get all the good herbal constituents from a tincture. So tea or powder is going to be the best form for these.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
I really like
And
both of those for a lot of the athletes I work with who are like
yeah.
having these really long, big days, like big endurance events, and they're just getting inflamed, kind of
Mm-hmm.
top to bottom, like all the way
Mm-hmm.
down. And I find it's really healing, like after,
Yes.
big races or something like that. Because it can ease like, the esophagus all the way down.
Right.
So
Right.
both of them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say next. Like marshmallow root and slippery elm are ones that are great for acid reflux, GERD, just because of that really cooling, soothing, those properties. Like it's really great for really hot, inflamed tissues. Yeah, just anything that is, you think about hot, inflamed, whether that's acid reflux, constipation, or long-term gut healing, like these are great like leaky gut herbs as well, because they're going to help to strengthen the mucosa in the lining of the gut and also then repair those tissues. So that's when these herbs cross over into what are known as vulnerary herbs, which means wound healing. And these are herbs that often are thought about for the skin externally, but they're also great for the gut internally. So you can think about marshmallow and slippery elm in these categories. I also think about calendula, right? Everybody knows that as a skin herb, but that's great for inflammation, leaky gut. Rose, many of us love rose for our skin as well. Great, for digestion. Again, that rose is going to have that cooling, little bit of the tonifying effect. And then other things like plantain leaf, linden are some of my other favorite vulnerary herbs. That can kind of go into that just fabulous gut healing category as well.
I love those. And they're just awesome to just bring them in. It's not like a medicine, like we know it of it, right? Like it's
Right.
not like you have to know for sure you have this and treat that. It's more like
Mm-hmm.
these are just so supportive and just wonderful things to bring in and add to your life, right?
Right.
I really love that
Absolutely.
about them. And you were talking
Yeah.
about leaky gut, so much of the root of so many problems, mental
Mm-hmm.
health and pain and all of that. So these herbs
Mm-hmm.
are just wonderful.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then, so just to comment on that, and then do you want me to mention a few bitters and then we'll wrap up?
Yeah, let's just do a couple
Okay.
bitters and then, yeah, we can wrap
Okay.
up.
Yeah. But yeah, just to say that I think maybe we talked about this in our first chat too, but folks seem to get really hung up on like, how do I know what herb is right for me? How do
Yeah.
I know where to start? How much do I want to take a day? And I think there is some basic practical knowledge, like we talked about earlier, that's helpful. But I just really want to encourage people to like not be afraid. And a lot of these herbs we talked about today are also like food like herbs. So, like you can incorporate just even a cup of tea a day and
Mhm.
see how your body feels, right? And then maybe you start to notice like, oh, I think maybe the marshmallow root is it's too moistening for me, so maybe I need to try having chamomile or a mint tea instead with just a little bit of that moistening, right? And that's really just how we start to learn about our body and what our body needs, just kind of like what foods agree with us better than others.
Mhm.
So just want to comment
Yeah,
that.
no, that's a
And
really good point because I do find people are nervous and I'm the same. I'm just
mhm,
encouraging them, like, just go have fun. Go try
yeah,
one of these that would be supportive of one of your goals or, so I love that advice. Thanks. Okay,
yeah,
bitters, you want to
absolutely.
mention, we have a whole
Bitters.
talk about this, but, just maybe a
Shot out
couple
of the
of your
cannon.
favorite.
Top bitter choices for me: dandelion root, artichoke leaf, citrus peel. And then if you're wanting, a more kind of stronger cooling bitter, there's a lot of heat, then gentian is another really fabulous one. And yarrow is a great bitter as well. Again, that's local to us and has that anti-inflammatory and bitter quality. And I would say last bitter that we haven't talked about that can also tie into nervous system is blue vervain.
Mm,
Blue vervain is what's known as a nervine herb, right? So it's relaxing to the nervous system, it's tonifying, it's rich in minerals, but it's also a bitter. So I love that one. Like
mm.
you can use it kind of in combination, like as a relaxing bitter and a relaxing nervous system restorative. So it's great for like the digestive stuff that comes with anxiety or nervousness or overwhelm or nausea even.
Mm.
So
Okay, that's the other
yeah,
thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have my chamomile with lunch, and then I'm also gonna try blue vervain
yeah,
because that sounds wonderful.
yes. Do you
We
have it
all we
as
all need nervines
we all need
to help
nervines?
calm the nervous
Yes.
system. That's really awesome.
Do you have it as a tincture or a tea?
I don't have it, so I'm gonna have to get on
Yeah.
your website, Mountain
Well,
Song Medicine, and order it.
I'll have to, yes, there is blue vervain in my Soothe the Nerves formula.
Okay, okay,
But if you
great.
want to try it just as a single extract, I can get that for you too. But I was just gonna say, because the it's quite bitter. So people usually don't like it as a tea,
Yeah,
but
okay.
as a tincture, you could add it into, you know, another tea, or you could just use it like a bitter where you put a few drops on your tongue. But
Mm.
I love blue vervain. It's
I love
fabulous.
that. And I think what you just mentioned is good to talk about quick is people bitters are intense for people because as I understand it, they're like kind of opposite of sweet. And so as our diet has become so sweet,
Right.
people have like lost the taste for bitter. So I find that if I gradually help people increase over time, they come to
Mm-hmm.
love bitters and crave them. But at first it can be like, oh my God, this is intense. And
Right.
because we're just not used to that bitter flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And then just really quick, like bitters, how do they act on the digestive system? Can you talk about that quick?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first way that they act on the digestive system is the moment that we're either dropping it in our tongue, spraying it in our mouth, or consuming that bitter flavor, is that's going to send a signal to our brain that, hey, we're going to start digesting food soon. That's going to cause our salivary glands to start to produce more saliva. And then it's going to signal our gut to start producing all those fabulous digestive enzymes. So then that's going to really just overall increase the digestion and or absorption of all of our food and our nutrients that we're consuming. And because of digestive inflammation and stress and all these things, right, from the environment and otherwise, like we all need a little bit of extra help. So I really think about bitters as that, like, sidekick when we're feeling like we need a little more help, just kind of rewiring that gut brain axis, like helping our body to really understand that we're going to be digesting and breaking down food. And this is a good side comment too, to just remember to chew your food too.
Yeah,
Because I think that's a lot of the lack to why we're not producing as much of those good digestive enzymes, because we're eating more foods that we're not really chewing. So chewing your food helps to activate that. And then a plus is having a few spritzes or drops of bitters before you eat. That's
absolutely.
going to be like the superhero
We
of
keep them on
help.
our dinner table, little sprays,
Yes,
and then I always bring them traveling. Like, I just think they're the best for supporting digestion. So I'm glad we ended with that. It's like kind of the broad, just digestion support. So I love it.
absolutely.
Oh my gosh, you
Yeah.
have so much great information. I could just sit here and talk to you like about
I
each part of digestion for hours. So thank
I
you so
know.
much for your time and your
Yeah, thank
brilliance.
you. It's
And again,
great
if
to be
people
here.
want to find you, they can go onto your website, Mountain Song Medicine.
Hmm.
Yeah, anything else? Any other way they can find you, or anything you want to mention there?
Yeah. I mean, just, Instagram and my website are great places to connect. I look forward to connecting with many of you. And thank you, Janelle, for having me again. It's always a pleasure to talk. And I agree, we could just sit here and talk forever about all the herbs and foods and
I'm
all
gonna
the
come
things.
out to your property sometime and we'll have a cup of tea.
I would love that so much.
Thanks, Mary. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.